Welcome back to the darkness, my friends. Tonight we plunge headfirst into the chilling abyss of shadow people. These entities, shrouded in mystery and fear, lurk in the corners of our vision, at the edge of our perception. Prepare yourself for 3 spine-tingling tales that will leave you questioning the shadows in your own home. Our first story takes us to the quiet suburbs, a place where darkness often conceals the unthinkable. Imagine, if you will, a young family, the Smiths, settling into their new home. They were filled with the promise of a fresh start, unaware of the chilling secret lurking within their walls. The first week passed without incident, but as the second week unfurled, a sense of unease began to permeate their once happy home. It started subtly, a flicker of movement in the dead of night, dismissed as an overactive imagination. Then came the whispers, soft and indistinct, like the rustling of leaves just beyond the window. But there were no leaves, no wind, just an unnerving silence that pressed in on them. One night, as the parents lay asleep, their young son Ethan shot up in his bed, his eyes wide with terror. There at the foot of his bed stood a towering figure, its edges blurred and indistinct, a void in the shape of a man. Ethan's scream shattered the night, drawing his parents from their uneasy slumber. They rushed to his room, their hearts pounding in their chests, only to find Ethan trembling beneath his covers, his face pale and streaked with tears. He tried to explain what he had seen, his words tumbling over each other in his haste, but the image remained clear in his mind, seared into his memory. The parents, though skeptical, couldn't shake off the feeling that something was terribly wrong. They tried to rationalize the events, attributing them to stress, to the unfamiliarity of their new surroundings, but deep down, a seed of doubt had been planted. As the days turned into nights, the shadows grew bolder, their appearances more frequent, their presence more menacing. Sleep became a distant memory, replaced by a constant state of hypervigilance. Ethan's once vibrant imagination now conjured images of the shadowy figure lurking in every corner, every darkened room. One night, the entity crossed the line. It was no longer content with merely observing, with instilling fear from a distance. As the family slept, their dreams invaded by images they couldn't quite place. The shadow slipped into their bedroom, its presence suffocating, heavy. The father woke with a gasp, his body paralyzed, his breath caught in his throat. He could feel its cold, intangible presence hovering over him, its unseen eyes boring into him. He tried to scream to alert his wife, but no sound escaped his lips. He was trapped, a prisoner in his own body, his mind racing as the seconds ticked by with agonizing slowness. Then, as quickly as it had appeared, the presence vanished, leaving behind a chilling emptiness that sent shivers down his spine. Our next tale takes us to the desolate corridors of the Grand Blackwood Hotel, a once majestic establishment now teetering on the brink of ruin. Its grandeur faded, replaced by an unsettling stillness that spoke of forgotten tragedies and whispered secrets. Room 13, shrouded in chilling lore, stood as a stark reminder of the hotel's dark past. It was a place where time seemed to stand still, where the veil between the living and the unknown was thin and easily pierced. The story begins with a young journalist, Sarah, drawn to the hotel by its grim reputation and the whispered rumors that clung to it like cobwebs. She had heard tales of Room 13, of the guests who had checked in but never checked out, their fates forever entwined with the hotel's sinister legacy. Driven by a thirst for the truth, Sarah booked herself into the infamous room, dismissing the warnings of the wary staff as mere superstition. As she stepped across the threshold, she felt a shiver run down her spine, a prickling sensation that told her she had entered a place where the ordinary rules did not apply. The air was heavy with the weight of untold stories, the silence broken only by the creaking of the floorboards beneath her feet. The room was dimly lit, the flickering bulbs casting long, dancing shadows that seemed to writhe and contort in the periphery of her vision. As darkness enveloped the room, Sarah began to experience a series of unsettling events that defied rational explanation. The temperature plummeted, sending a bone-chilling cold that seeped into her very core. Objects moved inexplicably, their positions shifting as if guided by an unseen hand. Whispers, seemed to emanate from the walls themselves, faint and indistinct, yet filled with a palpable sense of malice. One night, as Sarah lay in bed, her mind racing with both fear and fascination, she noticed a dark form coalescing in the corner of the room. It was a shadow, darker than the surrounding darkness, its edges shifting and swirling like smoke. It grew larger, taking on a vaguely humanoid shape, its presence exuding an aura of menace that sent shivers down her spine. Paralyzed with fear, Sarah could only watch as the shadow detached itself from the wall and began to glide towards her. It moved with an unnatural fluidity, its silence amplifying the terror that gripped her heart. As it drew closer, she could sense its cold, malevolent gaze upon her, a palpable feeling of dread washing over her. Desperate to escape, Sarah scrambled out of bed, her heart pounding in her chest, her breath catching in her throat. Chapter 3. The Shadow in the Mirror. Our final tale delves into the unsettling realm of mirrors, those reflective surfaces that have long been shrouded in superstition and fear. They are portals, some say, windows into another realm where reality is distorted and the lines between our world and the next become blurred. Our story centers around a young woman named Anya, an aspiring artist living alone in a creaky old apartment building on the outskirts of the city. Anya, like many artists, found solace in solitude, her creativity flourishing in the quiet hours when the world outside faded away. Her apartment, filled with canvases, brushes, and the lingering scent of paint, was her sanctuary, a place where she could lose herself in her art. One evening, as Anya was preparing for bed, she noticed something strange in the reflection of her antique mirror. It was a subtle distortion, a fleeting darkness that seemed to cling to the edge of her reflection, like an unwelcome shadow. At first, she dismissed it as a trick of the light, a figment of her tired imagination. But as the days turned into nights, the shadow in the mirror grew bolder, its presence more pronounced, its movements no longer synchronized with her own. It lurked in the periphery of her vision, a constant reminder that she was not alone. The shadow seemed to mock her, mimicking her movements with a grotesque exaggeration, its eyes, though devoid of pupils, seeming to follow her every move. Anya's once peaceful sanctuary had transformed into a prison of fear, her reflection a constant source of dread. Sleep became elusive, replaced by a gnawing anxiety that gnawed at the edges of her sanity. She tried to rationalize the events, attributing them to stress, to the long hours she spent alone in her apartment. She even went as far as to cover the mirror, hoping to banish the unsettling presence that haunted its depths. But the shadow persisted, its presence seeping into her waking hours, its chilling gaze following her from the depths of the covered mirror. One night, as Anya lay in bed, her mind racing, her body trembling with a fear she couldn't shake, she heard a soft tapping coming from the direction of the covered mirror. The tapping grew louder, more insistent, as if whatever lurked on the other side was demanding to be released. A wave of terror washed over Anya, her heart pounding in her chest, her breath catching in her throat. She knew instinctively that she couldn't ignore it, that whatever darkness she had stumbled upon was not going to be ignored. With trembling hands, Anya reached out and slowly peeled back the sheet that covered the mirror. As the mirror's surface was revealed, Anya gasped in terror at the sight that greeted her. Thank you for joining me on this chilling exploration of the Shadow People. If you found yourself captivated by these tales, be sure to give this video a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel for more chilling encounters with the unknown. And remember, keep a light on tonight, for you never know what lurks in the shadows when darkness falls. Sweet dreams, if you can sleep.